The fact that the first Predator movie is rated lower than Badlands and Prey is mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing. So I saw Predator Badlands today. I initially wasn't interested in it when I saw images of the movie, saw that Elle Fanning was in it, and I was like, oh gosh, we're going to have another Mary Sue female with no character arc like what we got in Prey, and I'm going to be underwhelmed by it. Well, I was underwhelmed by it, but I actually think I like Prey a skosh more. That's not saying a lot, because there were things about this that I felt were a little better than Prey, like the character arc of the character that Elle Fanning plays. She actually plays two characters, but the main character does have a sort of character growth or character arc going on in this story, which is interesting because she's playing a synth. So that says a lot that she had more character growth than the chick in Prey, who had none. I really enjoyed Predator, Killer of Killers, and the same director did that, and he did Prey, and he did this one. But overall, Predator Badlands was just, I rated it a little bit more than 50%. I do not understand the critics of today who are rating both of these movies 20 to 30 points higher than the first Predator. No, absolutely not. No, I sharply part ways with my fellow movie critics on that. You cannot convince me at all that these two latest movies are superior in any way to the original Predator. I will never agree with that. Don't even waste time trying to gaslight me about it. So, I never watched the trailer. I had just seen pictures of, the design of this particular Predator. And the basic premise is that he's like this runt weakling of his clan or whatever, and his father wants to have him eliminated because that's what they do in this culture. So he ends up on this planet and he's trying to find this particular creature. I can't even remember what it's called, but it's basically an unkillable creature, and he's trying to find it so that he can defeat it, bring it back as a trophy, and win the respect of his father and his clan, whatever. And while he's on this planet, he encounters this synth, one of two synths played by Elle Fanning. And the first one he encounters is missing her legs. Actually, that character spends a good portion of this movie without her legs, which I did think was an interesting creative touch. I did like that about this film because it added complication, right? And it meant that the situation had to revolve around the fact that she could not walk. So she spent a lot of time being hauled around by Dak, who is the Predator in this film. And Elle also plays another synth who has a completely different type of personality than the one Dak encountered. Some people were complaining about the character design of Dak. I understand those complaints. He does look wonky to me. He's also pretty small compared to the normal size of a Predator. So I feel a little torn about complaints regarding Dak's character design. It's not very cool looking or appealing looking. He looks weird with the shaved side head. That just looks like they're trying to be real modern. I don't know. That didn't work for me. But I understand why he would look different, because he's not like a full-fledged, strong, powerful like the rest of his clan. Part of me appreciates that Trachtenberg tried to do something a little new and different. I'm just not sure that this new and different works well for the Predator movies. I just don't think that humanizing this character works for me, because doing that basically defangs one of the most iconic horror characters that we've had. And it just feels like such a mismatch with what the Predator is supposed to be, the culture and all of that about them, and the badassery and the mercilessness that they have towards their opponents. It just, I don't know, y'all. I can't say that I despised this movie, because I don't necessarily regret taking the time to watch it, but I'm also not super impressed with it, because it just feels so wonky to see the Predator befriending a synth, befriending this little wild creature, and they form like this little unusual trio of characters. And right when I was thinking, oh, that's a trio right there, the character played by Elle Fanning made some sort of comment about them being a trio, except TREE and then an O at the end, because they just had some sort of battle with like hostile trees or whatever. Also the comedy, the attempts at comedy that they put in here, it felt out of place, and for me, it mostly fell flat. It's an odd tone for a Predator movie, and you know what it felt like? It felt like they were Disneyfying it, which is exactly what they were doing because this is controlled by Disney. Yeah, it was completely different in tone to Prey, and that might be why I liked Prey a little more than this, even though I wasn't crazy about Prey because the main character. But I just don't know about this one, you guys. I feel like maybe normie audiences will eat it up because a lot of regular audience members seem to have a very low bar when it comes to standards in storytelling. So they are probably going to like this much better than I did. I had seen rumors of some sort of like gay subplot to this story, and I really feel like those sort of rumor things that I was seeing like on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever, they were completely clickbait, because initially when you encounter this possibility, it's like, oh really, are they really going to go there? But then later it's kind of changed completely into something that's more like sister instead of lover. You'll know what I mean when you get to it. So I don't know, that would have been even more lame if they had gone in that direction. To be honest, there were some other things that kind of felt a little bit too much for me to buy into. And they are your typical sort of things that happen in a movie, conveniences that really work out way too easily. I'll give you an example. There's this location that the characters go to that has been devastated by this monster thing that the Predator is hunting. But conveniently, the electronics work just fine inside. And it was like, really? I mean, what are the chances with the devastation that happened in that area that it would work perfectly and do exactly what needs to be done? However, right after that happened, there was another event that occurred that kind of subverted my expectation about what the result was going to be. So I thought that was a little funny. Another problem that I think this film has is it's PG-13. However, there is a lot of blood. And there are multiple decapitations. Of course, there were a lot of decapitations in Sleepy Hollow, and that was PG-13 too, but the bloodletting and the killing and the decapitations that happen in here are only Predator-related and synth-related. There's no human deaths in here at all, because there are really no humans depicted in here from what I can recall. And if they were humans, I couldn't tell because the synths look human, but anyone that looked human that died was a synth. It's like they tiptoed around the violence part so that they could slap a PG-13 rating on it, and it was going to be PG-13 because there was no actual humans that were killed. I don't know. I wish I could have come away from this appreciating it a little bit more, but much like with Prey, I'm just pretty unimpressed with it as a whole. And I think if you have great love and appreciation for the first Predator and you weren't super impressed with Prey, you might feel the same way about this. I don't know. Not everybody has the same experience when they watch a film, but this is the third film of his now in the Predator universe that I've seen. And the only one of the three that I really enjoyed was the animated one. I just felt that the tonal blend of action and sci-fi and light comedy and sort of the Predator having this little family with the synth and the little creature that they befriended, it just doesn't land for me, unfortunately. Nothing really seems to be able to recapture the greatness of the original. You know, the intensity of that one, the mystery, the horror, and the simplicity of it that made it so iconic. These particular movies, especially this one, feels like it's trying to make things so much more complex, and integration with another universe going on in this movie, which I think people suspected was going to happen. And yes, it does happen because there is a certain corporation that's mentioned in here that fans of that other universe will know exactly what that's about. It's no huge secret because this was kind of hinted at the end of, but I think I would have preferred to see an animated sequel to a full-length movie sequel, maybe bringing back some of the characters from in addition to Dutch. I feel like that would have landed a bit better for me than this one did. So, you know, it's unfortunate I can't say hugely positive things about Predator Badlands, but if a movie doesn't hit me right, it just doesn't. It's not going to go on my list of worsts, but obviously not anywhere close to my list of favorites. And there's Chibi wanting to get in my lap, so I'm going to wrap this up. That's all I have to say for now about Predator Badlands. Let me know your thoughts if you get around to watching it. Bye.